Originally released in early access on Steam October 3rd, 2024, then the full release, the 1.0 version, was released on both Steam and the MetaQuest platform April 24th, 2025 by developer and publisher WannaDev Studio. Vestiges Fallen Tribes, playable both flat and in VR, a casual tabletop-styled auto-battler, which in my humble or not so humble opinion made the mistake of focusing on a PvP experience instead of a story-driven single-player experience, among other missteps. Stick around for my full explanation. Thanks to WannaDev for the PCVR and MetaQuest keys. Find out how to grab a free MetaQuest key for Vestiges Fallen Tribes later in the review. Watch Season 12 of Lab Video Game TV, wrapping up soon in 25 Caribbean countries on Flow One. Download the Stream Blue app to watch us on the go in the Caribbean. Check out the Lab Video Game TV at 4 p.m. every Thursday during the Sage Projects on Ontario's Island Radio 101.3 FM. Let's take a semi-deep dive into the realm of Vestiges Fallen Tribes VR. Let's first talk the story. I'll do this in two parts. I'll address it partially now and then a bit more when I touch on the PvP aspect. You'll understand why. The story as it stands falls in the better than nothing category. Yes, I'm settling. It's kinda like when I say I'll take bad voice acting over text only. And actually I've modified that now. Now I'll take text only over AI voice acting. But I digress. The story in its current state gives a sense of purpose. Things would be a whole lot worse and feel a whole lot more bland and pointless had there been no story at all, so I appreciate it. Due to the lack of expansion on said story, however, the story is forgettable and feels phoned in. It is based on a worldwide conflict over water, but I've played through the entirety of the solo campaign and still I am uncertain if the devs are saying people get together and gamble for water through the use of a board game and winner takes all kind of thing, or is this real? Is this all just, for lack of a better word, a game like Demio being played out in a basement? Or is this supposed to be real, like Dragonfront Rising?
Friendships shattered. Water started turning into something more. It became everything.
We get a handful of cutscenes that serve to aid the story's progression, but they're not enough and seem like last-minute ideas, afterthoughts. A whole lot more effort should have been put into the single-player experience, and I'll elaborate on that opinion later. Over in sound, the music is pretty good. It fits the experience. Sound effects are adequate, and the little voice acting we got is also executed well enough. The guy doing the intro sounds solid.
Will you secure the future, or will you let it slip away?
The visuals aren't exactly the best I've seen from WannaDev. They're not poor, just nothing to wake a friend up about. The overall experience doesn't look awful, just not very sharp in the headset. It actually looks better flat. No, the fact that I'm still using a Quest 2 could be a contributing factor. But then common sense dictates that I've experienced so many other VR games using a Quest 2 that look sharper and better in every way. Still, this does not mean Vestiges looks bad. Just not great. And there was something particularly odd in the visual settings that led me to believe WannaDev treated Vestiges Fallen Tribes like the unwanted stepchild. This feeling permeates through the entire production actually, like Vestiges Fallen Tribes started out with a bang, but was then almost abandoned. Like WannaDev lost confidence in the project somewhere along the line. In the resolution settings, if I put the slider up to 100%, the game is unplayable. It becomes so laggy and glitchy, like I'm running it on a typewriter. But if I put that slider to 99, just one notch down, everything is fine, with every video setting on Ultra. This clearly isn't a hardware issue. It's an optimization issue WannaDev never got around to addressing. Who knows, maybe it is a hardware issue. Perhaps it's a Quest 2 issue. Maybe it was not tested on a Quest 2. Because I'm apparently the only one left on Earth still using a Quest 2. Who knows? With all of that said, although not the sharpest, the environments are detailed. My virtual hands look great, the particle effects are good, and the character models are well designed. So I'm not saying Vestiges Fallen Tribes looks bad. I'm saying there's a significant amount of room here for improvement. the nitty-gritty, gameplay, on startup, the settings we have are sound, visuals, and controls, which are more instructions than settings. Our game modes are a single-player solo campaign that gives us 21 missions and 11 tactics levels, a training mode, a sandbox mode, and PvP. Here is my first major gripe with Vestiges Fallen Tribes. It seems to have been created as primarily a PvP experience, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier when I said that was a mistake. And so was neglecting the solo experience. And here's why. Wanadev put very little effort into the single-player aspect, treating the single-player modes, all of them, as glorified training missions. In a way, that's what most single-player modes in PvP games are. But the devs leaned too far away from the single-player experience, to the point that the single-player experience is barely fun and ultimately lackluster. We get only a couple story cutscenes, including the intro. After that, nothing other than text gives you a sense of purpose. If only Wanadev added more cutscenes, more dialogue, more story, and even an actual ending after you complete the 21 missions. But instead, it's left so bare bones. When playing the early access version, there were no cutscenes between battles. At least I didn't see any. So when playing the 1.0 build and I saw the first cutscene introducing one of the tribes, I felt like things were looking up. Because when playing the early access build and saw the intro and then nothing more from the intro in game, I was a bit disappointed. The early access build felt really empty, and that was understandable. But when I was more than halfway through the campaign in the 1.0 version and didn't see much more of a rhyme or reason, nothing else like I saw in the intro, I started to lose interest. And even the gameplay elements when I first played the early access. Because I love VR tabletop style experiences, I was eager to go deeper, learn more, reveal what more Vestiges Fallen Tribes had to offer, but the unfortunate truth is, there isn't much here. I'm darting from point to point, I know, but bear with me and do your best to keep up. Let me go back to PvP, then I'll go more on the mechanics. The real problem here that I've been alluding to this whole time with Vestiges Fallen Tribes is this. It was created with PvP in mind, neglecting the single-player experience greatly, but not once, and I'm not exaggerating, not once since early access till present day have I found a single match online. So while I'm not saying nobody is playing this, clearly not enough people are. So putting all your focus into a PvP experience, casting the single-player component under the bus while expecting success in said PvP, then not getting success. Is it my humble or not so humble opinion? A huge mistake. Now this is coming from someone who generally prefers a single-player experience anyway, but with that bias aside, the bottom line is, the original plan did not work out, so having a solid single-player experience backup would have been great. Not just for me. You see, you can play Demio by yourself and still have a good time. It's ill-advised because of how much more difficult and potentially less fun the experience may be. But you can still do it and have a pretty decent time, especially if you're a loner like me. The developers of Demio didn't put all their eggs in one basket. They covered their asses with a great multiplayer experience and a pretty decent single-player one. See my point? The single-player offerings in Vestiges Fallen Tribes is barely a campaign. Let me go deeper into the mechanics. Vestiges Fallen Tribes is a blend of genres, or at least game types. It's a tabletop sim, which is also an auto-battler and a turn-based deck builder. It's also a casual game. This is the part that was not made clear. If you go into Vestiges Fallen Tribes expecting a deep, complex, intricate RPG-like experience where you can level up, customize, and control your units in-game and engage in deep strategy, you'll be sorely disappointed. There were several times during the campaign where I bounced between convincing myself this was not simply a luck-based engagement, but one requiring actual strategy and planning. And there were times I was convinced I was delusional, attempting to make this game into something I wish it was, instead of accepting reality. Here's the basic loop. You have cards on your wrist. These cards are your units. Depending on the tribe you're using, you use them all, by the way, in the campaign. This gets you prepared for PvP. But depending on the tribe you're using, you'll have specific unit types at your disposal. Each tribe has its strengths and weaknesses. And as you progress through the campaign, completing certain actions per round, your XP will increase, allowing you to unlock various rewards. These rewards vary between things like cosmetics, icons you can use, titles and borders for units you gain access to add to your customizable deck. All of the things you're able to unlock during the solo mode are only useful in PvP. None serve any real purpose in the single player campaign. You can't upgrade your units in any way. This is where I go back to the casual nature of this experience. It would be so useful if I could increase unit stats, but you literally have to play the hand you're dealt as is. Then, the auto battler component in training, and by training I'm basically referring to the entire solo campaign. Like in tactics mode, you're told that you can focus on which enemy units you want to attack first. I never figured out how to do this. I completed the entire tutorial, a very brief one, and was not instructed how to do this either. The best I could do was while placing units. I do things like putting snipers to the back, assassins behind enemy lines, healers close to important units or weaker units, and so on. But I saw no way how to focus and attack. Like direct a unit to attack a particular enemy first. And this pissed me off. Not because I couldn't do it. I already knew this was an auto battler. I already knew what I got myself into. What was irritating was watching my units do silly things during a fight and then end up losing because of silly AI choices. Look, maybe I'm missing something. Perhaps there is a way. Although this is an auto battler, to instruct a unit to take its auto battling ass and go auto battle a specific enemy unit. But I did my best and couldn't figure out how to do that. So strategic placements were the best I could do. So you start a round by placing your units as best you can, based on their strengths, weaknesses, and overall value they bring to the table, pun intended I guess. By picking and placing your cards, you have a certain amount of points you use as currency at the beginning, which increases as you go, as do the card choices. You can also adjust the board, move in closer, go higher, go farther away and tilt it. You toss a deploy sensor, kinda like a die, to get the round started. Then watch your units do what you trusted they would when you laid them down. The rounds are pretty short and relatively satisfying. Most times, if you're defeated, you can either rethink your placements, card selections, or simply throw caution to the wind and rely on trial and error. Each round isn't necessarily easy, harder, hardest either. Some may have you stumped for a bit, then the next few will be a breeze. The tribes available are the Illustrians, which are considered beginner-friendly, the Adari, which are more tactical, and the Amonsets, which are said to be synergy-based. As some of the cards, the units you will use from each are Worshippers, melee fighters who are cheap and return to your deck after each round. You got Sand Riders, who are spearmen, Gladiators, more expensive melee fighters, a tactical retreat card which allows you to remove units already placed, Guardians, Lucky Deck, which gives you 2 cards on release, Cursed Spear, who are ranged fighters, High Priestesses, who are healers, Divine Fury, a melee fighter who teleports to its killer on death for a one-hit kill. There is Sagittarius, Devourer, Scales of Destiny, who are snipers and healers, a battering ram, Gorgon, who stuns, Shadowblades, who are assassins who can be placed behind enemy lines to attack from a stealth vantage point, a protector who wields a huge shield, my favorite, the Sandstormer, Mindhunter with charm abilities, the Ballista, a heavy ranged fighter, a Praetorium, which is a unit spawner, a teleporting melee fighter called Arwi, Matria, who heals allies on death, and more. So there is a large variety of units to pick from and become acclimated with during training. Where more variety is lacking, however, are in the levels. There is variety, but after a while, I felt like I was seeing the same handful of levels over and over. The main thing I would suggest anyone watching this review take away is this: do not enter into Vestiges Fallen Tribes with lofty expectations. You'll be disappointed, especially if those expectations are for a grand multiplayer experience. The single player, like I said, is basically just a training for PvP, but I can't find a match to this day. And even if I eventually do find a match, like there's a best time and date check, that's not good enough. To create a new IP banking on PvP is just way too risky, and Vestiges Fallen Tribes proves that. It's not a horrible game, just feel like I said, phoned in and hung out to dry. If there's ever a proper single-player experience patched in one day, I'd revisit this, but somehow I doubt that will happen. I think WannaDev has already moved on to other projects, Species Unknown to be more precise. Thanks again to WannaDev for the keys. If you'd like to grab a key to check out Vestiges Fallen Tribes on the MetaQuest platform, then leave a comment or send an email to contact@thelabvideogametv.com, simply letting me know what is it you dig about this one, and it's as simple as that, no hoops to jump through. The key will be sent to your preferred delivery method right away. First come, first serve. Watch Season 12 of Lab Video Game TV, wrapping up soon in 25 Caribbean countries on Flow One. Download the Stream Blue app to watch us in the Caribbean on the go. Check out the Lab Video Game TV at 4 p.m. every Thursday during the Sage Projects on Ontario's Island Radio 101.3 FM. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. If, on the other hand, I found a way to piss you off with this one, then pursue the logical course of action. Dislike, unsub, leave a fiery comment expressing your disgust, whatever it takes to make you feel vindicated, partner. Either way, I won't hold it against you. Our game is never over.